my friends, I'm Rick and you're not. Ready? I haven't worn this hat in a long time. It's covered in cat hair. Been laying up here and I've had cats laying on it for some time. And that's a little Missy. And this is my hat. Alright? Yes, why don't you get down? Why don't you get down? Okay. Alright? Yeah. Well now, my friends, yet again, we're talking about Texas, the Lone Star State. You know, I grew up wearing a ball cap as a kid. I don't wear them like I used to. I really don't. It's probably been 10, 15 years since I just don't wear them like I used to. And I would never leave the house without a damn hat. It was always a ball cap. Usually something like a John Deere, right? Because you can get them pretty much free all the time at the local dealership if you knew who to, if you were young enough and bold enough to say, I'd like one of them hats. They give you one, all right? So anyway. So Texas wants to succeed. Y'all down there in Texas, I got family down there too. Y'all really want to break away from the United States? You want to go alone? Go it alone? Well, just take in mind, this is the only state in the United States that has succeeded twice. But you're forgetting all of your history, right? Now, you might argue that the first succession doesn't count, right? The first succession doesn't count because why, right? Why doesn't the first succession count? Let's talk about the first time Texas succeeds from the Mexican Empire. So this territory belonged to the Mexican Empire. What was, Mexico is now part of, or was part of, Mexican Empire. But so was a good chunk of the southwest of the United States. And they lost it to us after a conflict. But the Texans decided that they wanted to live independently. So they were so far away from the central powers in Mexico anyway. They were literally a backwater as far as the government of the empire was concerned. And most of the people who was settling and living in was a mixture of Spanish-speaking South American folks and Native American folks and European folk. Mostly Americans coming down from the colonies to colonize the area because it was such a rich and diverse environment and very attractive. I've been there. I've driven through your state. There's a lot of very boring stretches of it, but y'all got I live next to Nebraska, so flat and boring is something you kind of acknowledge is there, right? There's kind of very little flat in Iowa, which surprises people. Iowa's actually pretty hilly. We don't have any great big mountains or nothing like that, but we don't have any real long, huge stretches of flatland either. There are some parts of the state, but for the majority of the state, it's pretty hilly. Lots of small rivers and things like this. So the Texans succeeded away from the Mexican government. Made a go of it. Remember the famous remember the Alamo, the Battle at the Alamo, a bunch of other conflicts that took place. If I remember right, the Mexican army basically rolled over the top of the defenders at the Alamo. But it's that kind of like the 300 at Thermopylae, or however it's pronounced. It's just a thing, and it's a good thing to remember. So people sacrificed themselves for a cause, and because they believed in. And it's ironic in many ways in our society, in our world today. What we consider acceptable is variant on much variant on who and where you're from, right? Sometimes we tend to forget that, especially here in America. We Americans have an era of arrogance about us, and we have to be damn careful that we don't cross from arrogance to hubris. And which a lot of that's going on, in my opinion, these days. All right. So they talked about succeeding from Mexico, and they fought a war. They had their own constitution, etc., etc. And they gained their independence for a very brief window from Mexico, and then they joined the United States. It just became clear that if they wanted to remain independent, wasn't likely to happen, and they were more inclined to favor the United States government and the way things are done than the Mexican government at that era. So if I'm wrong, y'all correct me on it. By all means, comment away. Tell me I'm wrong. Explain to me the what, why, and the how. That's something that I want, When I look at a lot of stuff, I hear things, and the first thing I'm going is, what? Huh? What? What the hell are they saying? What are these dumbasses saying now? What is this stupid shit they say now? Right? Okay. Then the next thing is, what, where, how? So who and what's doing it, and why, and where are they doing it, and what's it related to, and more importantly is how. The hows of something. How's something go? The what if. What the fuck. Right? So we talk about that, and in every few generations, or damn near every generation, there's this talk in the damn media and stuff from people wanting to succeed. Or it's just Texas or a larger group of people. This isn't the first time. The Civil War is the one most commonly known for. And unlike Nikki Haley and a whole lot of other MAGA-loving former Republicans, and like I said, I'm sorry, MAGA killed the Republican Party. Y'all a cult now, and the handful of holdouts, y'all gonna be dead, or you're gonna be out of a job, because your compatriots, they're gonna kill you. MAGA's not gonna tolerate you rhinos, because they keep telling you that. If MAGA gets into real power, we a whole lot of us. You know what? Y'all be hearing me singing the glorious things for the leader for the rest of the duration, because I ain't stupid. I already know we've already pretty much screwed ourselves by our opinions, but I got a whole lot of other baggage anyway. So at the end of the day, if they get into power, I ain't gonna care. I'm gonna keep my head down and do what I got to do, and look after the wife and me and all these cats. And good luck for y'all, because what else do you want? I have my opinions on where that's going to go, and I'll do videos on that stuff, but I'm just saying. So you want to talk about succession, and I think about that as a citizen of the United States, but also as an Iowan. This is something that's an interesting concept that is imbued in most native-born Americans. If you were born in America, and if you're from generations of Americans being born in America, you have a different philosophy and view than everybody else does, even if you don't recognize it. And even the most radically left-leaning people don't understand that their very vehemence and their very radicalization is extremely American. It's very American. It's just like the far right is as American as American pie, because it's the evil and the good and the indifference is what makes up the world. And one person's patriot is another person's terrorist. This is defining on who gets to write the story at the end of the day, or whose perspective is maintained. This is one of the reasons why throughout the South, and in truth throughout the United States, the Civil War culture is still embraced and celebrated. And there's a lot of places it's been a hard slog in the last decade or so to try to reclaim some of that. You go down south, and what'd you find? You found monuments and adulations for long dead Civil War terrorists by us Northerners standards, secessionists, terrorists, and traitors, and they got what they deserved. The collective U.S. Uncle Sam's boot up their freaking ass until their tonsils came out their nose. So Texas, you really, really want to succeed. You don't think it would not have some ramifications, or did you think with just the rest of the United States is just going to lean back? Because if one state is allowed to do that, the whole premise of the Civil War was about slavery, to end slavery. Which, here's my conundrum, because this lady here made a big faux pas because she didn't immediately come up and say, what was the cause of the Civil War? Well, slavery, of course. She huffed and hewed and hawed, which was a bad spot for her to do. in that same moment, all I could think of is she's not wrong. No offense, America. No offense to the left. Y'all don't like this, but y'all wrong. She wasn't wrong either. There was more than just the slavery issue that caused the Civil War in the first damn place. It was the catalyst, yes. It was the primary driver, yes. But was the issue was slavery? It was because of states' rights, as she says. Well, yes, the individual states wanted to have rights to this, this, and this. Well, that wasn't just about whether they could have slaves or not, but a whole lot of other things too. But it was also a set of philosophy and things as well. And then we got into this two brothers fighting. If you've ever been in the middle or witnessed two family members tearing into each other, the bad blood and lasting resentment that can come out of even one of those uber bad conflicts can scar both those individuals till they die. And probably will influence their generations, because they're going to have a view of the other side that's going to be slanted a hair. So, yeah, the Civil War was fought over slavery was the primary issue for the Civil War. But, hold on, Jerry. Here. Let's hold on to our cat hair covered hat for a minute. Right? Because I want to be strictly clear here, y'all. Because all these people screaming and crying about being woke and this is woke and that's woke and what the fuck is woke? What is woke? What do you think woke means? Well, that's the problem. There's no fixed define what woke means. A lot of people, a lot of mega folks, I work with them, I live around them, I got family full of them, I grew up with them, I went to church with them, I still know them, I understand, I know a lot of why they fell into this trap, and I do not know how, if we can ever get them out of it. Sometimes you enter into a state of mind that you can never break them out of. This is what happened after the Civil War down south. A whole contingent of Northern America did not go to war over slaves' rights. That was just a battle cry. That's the hard, cold truth. It's there in the history books if you want to go do your research. I ain't gonna do it for you, but it's there. I've read it. I've seen videos on it. I just don't feel like I'm gonna go give you a case study on all the what, where's, and whys. You want those? Go find them yourself. Here's the thought. If you're watching my video, you're already a thinker. You're already at least being open-minded about something. Or you wouldn't be listening to any crap I got to say, even if it was just briefly. And I know my watch times, it ain't very long. Most of y'all don't get to this far into a video, and that's fine. It's just me giving a chance to vent my real opinions on real world problems. So, we sit down and we go into these rabbit holes, and they become so insulated from everything else. We absolutely have trouble, taking the hat off for a minute and taking a breath. So the Civil War resentment carried over generation after generation up until modern times, in part because this was extremely bad feud between brothers, between siblings, between families. Literally, the history books are full of that. This impacts the psyche of America. I talk about what ifs all the time. What if our founding fathers, when we actually got our independence from Britain, actually held up to their Declaration of Independence and our Constitution verbatim, then we would have never had an issue about slavery in the first place, because all men are created equal. All men, all Americans. We would have never had to have an issue with women's rights, because all Americans are created equal in the eyes of God and country. My God, your God, their God, does not matter. Does it? So we talk about succession, and then we get people like Nikki Haley here telling people, at one time back, now 14 years ago was a long time ago, and the context of what the conversation might have been could be completely different. And that's something we have to remember when we see anything, regardless which side of the is showing it, because where's the entire context of it coming from? Because you can take clips from videos from people who have done interviews that were covering a wide range of issues that were issues at the era, but you just take a snippet out and then you say, well, this is what she said, because you didn't include the entire sentence. You're purposely misinforming people of the entirety of it. At the least, these media companies should be forced to have a tag there that says, for the complete video, go see, or click here and you can go see the entire interview yourself and hear the whole thing before, at least give you the direct direction to where to go to research the what, whys, and hows of something, right? So she said in 2010, that Texas should have the right to, that any state should have the right to succeed if they wanted to. As fickle as human beings are, the fact that we have a United States of America and not the States of America should be important to understand. We are united, and we are not going to become disunited, because to do so is the slippery slope. What happens when you start removing bricks from a wall? What happens when you start removing bricks from a wall? What happens if you remove a key brick, a keystone from a wall? How long do you think the wall is going to support itself? How long is it going to do what it's supposed to do? That's something else we constantly need to remind ourselves these day and age, that, democracy is a fragile thing. Society is a fragile thing. The madness that goes on isn't it's pretty bad right now. It's probably some of the worst shit I've seen in my memory. But I know that there were other eras that were just as bad, and in some places even worse. And in one case, the Civil War was literal. So when we go back to Texas for a minute, Texas, some of us noticed this. Texas as a whole has done its ever-loving best to remain as independent as it can possibly be as a state. Now, when I say that is, if you go and you look at most states in the United States are interdependent on the neighboring states around them for a lot of stuff. Texas is too. Texas gets a lot of its commerce and exports a lot of material to and from the neighboring states. Yes. But most states, have become more intertwined than they want to realize or recognize. Let's talk about the power grid, for example. The infamous Texan power grid, in part, is because it's Texas power grid exclusively. They generally don't share power lines with neighboring states. They don't share a much wider power grid. Now, they might cross boundaries economically speaking, i.e. sell power to neighboring states, but their own power grid is self-contained. They do not import power from a different state. Iowa produces more electricity than it utilizes, from my understanding, and it sells that excess electricity to the adjacent states. And I'm sure I don't exactly understand how all that works exactly, but that's what I'm being told. That's what they say. So it's not just the power grid, though. Texas internally is run more like a country and less like a state of a union of states. This is one of the reasons why its governor has this highbrow concept of his position in the world. In his mind, he's equal to, if not better than, whoever's sitting in the White House. It only makes it worse that it's a Democrat sitting in the White House. And oh my God, if it was a woman Democrat sitting in the White House, I'm pretty sure the Texas government wouldn't answer a phone to the federal government for anything. So it's not surprising to see just how far Abbott's pushing things. And the question is, of course, is how long will it take before elements of the federal government, or i.e. Biden, steps on him and reminds him, you might be an independent state, but you're still a member of the United States. So if Texas believes they're going to succeed, you can believe it all you want. You might even try. Try being the key word here, my friends. So unless you got a very sympathetic set of ears in the federal government, you ain't going to succeed. You're not going to succeed with your succession. Okay, that was kind of a bad pun. However you want, whatever. So when we go and look at this, so they're talking, so it seems like every 10, 12 years, this subject of Texas succeeding comes up. And they're not the only ones. There's been other places that have talked about it. And in history, there's been sections of the United States that have internally sectioned themselves off and then became in conflict with the federal government. The Mormons, Utah, you haven't heard about that. That went on right about the Civil War. There was a Civil War, was the Spanish-American War. It was going on right about, something else big was going on, and it got a lot, that got more news than the attempt by certain elements of the Mormon church to set up their own goddamn country in, the Southwest. And the United States was like, meh, no. And they sent troops. Federal government sent troops to Utah. The hell they didn't. Look it up. It's there. I'm telling you. Read it, seen it. I think it was on the History Channel. Got to love channels like that. But they're all woke! Oh! They're rockin' woke! Jesus is woke! Jesus would go down to that border with his AR-15 and shoot them bastards. I got mega family that says that. That ain't the Jesus I was grown. I know. That's not the Jesus that I love. That's not the Jesus that I pray to. That's not God's son. Jesus would never say that. Jesus would never carry a gun. Jesus says to uplift the least among us. The very people that these people want to destroy, they want to hound, want to harass, somehow to make themselves feel bigger and better. Because that's what bullies do. And bullies, you ever notice how bullies attract? Bullies attract people, don't they? And what do they end up with? A clown of yes men and suck asses and sycophants and assassins. Yeah. Yeah, we need a strong man in the White House. We need a strong woman in the White House. The fuck we do. Yeah, the fuck we do. No, we don't need that. We need a rational person that understands that the United States is united and for a reason, and for a lot of reasons, and that we are all Americans, regardless of our beliefs. And sometimes our beliefs get extremely excessive. And there's people on the left side that don't know what kind of utopian you think the world could be. It ain't happening. It ain't happening, Sam. It ain't happening. It just ain't happening. We can do better. Come on, man. We could do better and not even break wind. That's the sick part. Our country could be so much better in many, many ways and not even break wind at it. But there's a lot of lacking of empathy, and a big part of that is, fire hosing. And another big part of it is real indoctrination that's being pushed in our schools today. And is there indoctrination? Hell yeah. Man, there's been indoctrination in schools since the concept of school. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? You, me, my wife, everybody who's ever attended a public school in America has been indoctrinated into several philosophies. Capitalism is right. Socialism is bad. An evil necessity. Work is good. Now, over time, these messages have kind of gotten screwed up or disappeared altogether. And there's an intentional movement to make it worse under the guise of trying to improve things. All right? There are elements of these people that are using MAGA as tools. The real dangerous people are not politicians at all, in the strictest sense of the term. These are the people that realized a long time ago it's much better to be the kingmaker and the power behind the throne than to be the fool sitting in the chair. So, why do they want that chair? What's their agenda? What are they getting out of it? You think Nikki Haley is doing this out of the goodness of her heart? She's just looking for a career change? Or she just thinks this is, she's looking for what? Fame, you know, prosperity, power? You know, to what end? We know what Trump's in. We know damn well what Trump's in. We know where his end goal is to get power back, is to save his ass. The problem is that he'll never get him out of office. No, let me rephrase that. He'll get into office, and then one of his own people will remove him from office. And I suspect it won't be, very long after that. I'm just making a prediction because, once again, American history is pretty clear. Story shit happens. So we're back to that. Should a state be able to succeed? Marjorie Taylor Greene's been running her mouth for a long time about that we just need to have a civil war. We just need to, the red states just needed to break away from the blue states. Well, we'll go look at a map of the red and the blue, and you're going to discover several key things. And I've harped on this before in other videos that get ignored. Now I lost track of thought. The hell was it going? Yeah, see, lost track. This part of getting old, right? Old and damn tired. So, as part of my endeavor to haul my ass up by my bootstraps, I worked a almost 16-hour day Thursday. I ended the week with just short of 56 hours. The previous week was almost 58 hours, and then people say, "Well, that's I do that." And says, "Yeah, well, you do them the way I do them. You do the back-to-backs or the damn split shift jobs, the ones that are wonderful. You got 4 hours in the morning and a couple hours in the afternoon, and then 9 hours at night. Because that's what I do to make a living. I work the equivalent of 2 fucking jobs." And I need every look of overtime I get because it's the only time I get a check where I feel that we've gotten everything, and we've actually paid everything we needed, and we still got money in our pocket, and it doesn't occur as often as it ought to. I'm not asking for 10 grand into my pocket every damn month. Well, God, that would be nice, but I'm not asking for it. I'm not expecting to have a lavish lifestyle. I would just like to be able to pay for a new tire for the back of my fucking van, instead of keep running to the gas station every couple of days to put air in it. The tire needs replaced, and I just don't have the cash to do it just yet. Because I get a good check, I'm making up for several weeks of bad ones. The reason the hours are there is because I'm making up jobs when we had snowstorms a couple weeks ago shut us down, and a mechanical failure shut us down, where I got like 25 hours, 28 hours a couple weeks in a row. We didn't buy groceries those weeks. How many weeks can your household go without groceries? I live in the under 50,000 a year category, so you tell me I make under 50K. How do you deal with the weeks when you don't have grocery money? So on weeks like this week and next week, we stocked up. We replenished our stores because I'm painfully aware, and I have been through plenty of famines in my life, which is why I like the savings. I feel terrible that I don't have savings right now. A year ago, I had about $1,000 put back from mowing the neighboring strip. The gentleman's club next door is a strip club, and my wife and I mowed it all the last couple summers. And we used half that money to put money back to pay for her prescription when her deductible kicks in, and now she's into that month, and we've got that money already put back, and then the rest of it we would put back into a savings. But last year, with the cost of inflation up, the cost of everything up, there just wasn't anything left, and all the little punky stuff that kept coming up. I had to get a tire for the lawn tractor. I had to do this. I had to do that. $100 here, $100 there. Well, I wasn't able to save it. It's just the way life's gotten, and some years are better than others, and some are worse. And I'm praying that this coming year will be better. I'm expecting it not to, because I'm a pessimist. I spent my life being a damn pessimist. All right. So Texas, you want us to secede? Good luck. It ain't happening. Marjorie Taylor Greene, you want to actually see a civil war? You won't live to see the end of it. I'll just be honest here. A lot of these people agitating for this crazy shit aren't actually intending to do any of it, or they don't realize that just how horrific this shit is, they don't read history, they don't watch history, they don't listen and pay attention to shit. They don't listen to veterans who talk about real war combat experience and all the terrible stuff that goes along with it. You know, the thing about modern warfare is that we've got really good at making it sterile and almost Hollywood like. I've heard that too. I got plenty of veteran relatives, and they talk about it. You know, it's like surreal. It's just like being in a, you know, you're actually in a movie sometimes until shit starts hitting around your head. Then then you wake up. Then you become woke. Then you understand what fucking waking up really means. Because most people who think they know what woke is don't know their ass from their fucking elbow. In my opinion, Little Missy's opinion, and this is my channel. If you don't like it, kick rocks. Because God save America from itself. Jesus. Jesus, if we ever needed you, we need you now. In spades. And bring the archangels too. This shit's, I don't know where the hell this is going. And I don't like where I see it heading, and I sure as hell don't want to see it go off that cliff. That cliff that's literally in front of our face. Hail Trump. It just irritates me to no end.